Today, we're going to talk about some of the most amazing natural phenomena around the world. The Earth has no shortage of wonders, and we're not just talking about natural formations of rock or bodies of water that look otherworldly. We're talking about strange but natural phenomena that happen yet are still barely explained by science. And if researchers scientifically explain them, the process is so specific yet outstanding that one could wonder how those chains of events even took place. Welcome to our channel, where we talk about all the beautiful places around the world. If you're new here, we're glad you found us. And if you're a subscriber, thank you for joining us again. Without any further ado, let's head straight into the countdown. Here are 10 of the world's most amazing natural phenomena, presented in no particular order because they're simply too fantastic to rank by any criteria. Number 1. Aurora Borealis / Australis. No great natural phenomena list is complete without mentioning Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis. Also known as northern or southern lights, depending upon where it occurs. This phenomenon happens when lightly charged electrons from the sun collide with the atmosphere. If it appears in the northern hemisphere, it's a borealis. If it occurs in the southern hemisphere, it's an australis. The color depends upon which atoms the solar wind encounters and at which altitude. The colors can be green, red, blue, violet, or a combination. And as the Earth's magnetic field reacts with the solar electrons, the collision keeps getting jostled around, appearing to us as if it was dancing. Every once in a while, a geomagnetic storm can move where an aurora can occur, and they can even take place in different shapes, such as the picket fence aurora, which occurs way past the auroral zone, or the dune aurora, which looks a lot like a sand dune, hence the name. The best places to see Aurora Borealis are during the winter months in Tromsø, Norway, Swedish and Finnish Lapland, pretty much anywhere in Iceland and Greenland, and in Yukon, Canada. For Aurora Australis, book a trip during the southern hemisphere's winter months, June through August, to Queenstown, New Zealand, Mount Wellington, Tasmania, Victoria, Australia, and Antarctica and South Georgia Island. Number 2. Blood Falls in Antarctica. Though not as accessible to travelers because of its remote location, Blood Falls in Antarctica is a genuinely surreal sight. Imagine a great glacier with its pure white color, sullied only by a spot where bright red water seeps out. And if you're wondering why there's such a red liquid underneath a massive ice shelf, that's because a super salty body of water is trapped underneath the glacier. But thanks to a small crack in the glacier, there's just enough room for the trapped water to seep out. And it's so salty that once it comes into contact with the air, its chemical composition causes it to rust. That's how it gets its striking red color. Unfortunately, trying to see this phenomenon in person is off limits to most people due to its location. The glacier is called Taylor Glacier and is only accessible by helicopter or Antarctic cruise ships. Number 3. Volcanic lightning. Seeing a flash of lightning is already scary enough, but it's even worse when you see it occurring during a volcanic eruption. The sight can be terrifying and breathtaking. If you're lucky enough to witness one, hopefully not while you're in the lava's path, especially when you see magma spurting up into the air and streaks of lightning flash simultaneously. So what causes this phenomenon? There's no definitive answer yet, but the consensus is that it's due to the density change and friction in the air. As magma and rocks collide with cooler air, opposite charges separate and create friction, creating room for a lightning bolt to develop. The places where volcanic lightning has been sighted include Alaska's Mount Augustine, Mount Etna in Sicily, and Taal Volcano in the Philippines. Number 4. Bioluminescent Beaches. Would you like to see a glow-in-the-dark beach? If so, you should visit Vadhu Island in the Maldives to watch glowing phytoplanktons light up the shores in the evening. This spectacle happens when a pigment called luciferin reacts with the oxygen in the air, causing it to glow bright blue. Scientists believe that the glow may actually be a defense mechanism to avoid getting eaten. In other words, the event that we consider fascinating and otherworldly might be the phytoplanktons trying to protect themselves in order to live. But what makes this event beautiful? as the waves come and go on the shore. The phytoplanktons move along with it. The result is a lovely dance of bright blue lights coming and going away from you. Number 5. Green sand beaches. If you're unfamiliar with the history of green sand beaches, you might think it's dirty. You would be wrong because the green coloration is due to a mix of green-colored mineral called olivine that gets mixed with the sand. And because olivine is a naturally occurring mineral from the Earth's mantle, that means these green sand beaches have volcanoes near them. Perhaps the most popular of the 4 green sand beaches is the Papakolea Beach in Hawaii. Its sands are so olive green, you don't have to wait for the sun to be just at the right angle to see its color. It might not look apparent from afar, but getting close up to the sand and scooping some in your hand will immediately show its green color. In case you're curious, the 3 other beaches with green sands are Talafofo Beach in Guam, Punta Cormorant in the Galapagos Islands, and Hornindalsvatnet Lake in Norway. However, the sands on these 3 beaches aren't as green as Papakolea Beach. Number 6. Fairy Circles in Namibia. Those with trypophobia, or fear of holes, might want to skip this one. That's because we'll discuss the bizarre circular holes that dot Namibia grasslands. Nobody knows what causes them, but the agreement was that they would be called fairy circles. As mentioned earlier, there's no proper explanation yet as to why these holes develop. One theory thinks these holes are caused by termites that eat the plant, leaving the hole in the ground surface. However, investigations revealed that there is not enough termite presence to consider them the primary cause of the phenomenon. Another hypothesis offers an explanation for self-cloning plants. According to this theory, a specific type of plant, Stipagrostis ciliata, sends out sprouts of itself underground so that the shoots would eventually surround it. But as the sprout grows older, it will create a hole, and it will be empty once it dies. This theory is also being disputed, as it doesn't take larger fairy holes into consideration. Finding a proper explanation for these fairy circles might take a while, but it'll be fascinating once scientists find a valid reason for them. For now, we'll just have to admire the mysterious holes in the Namibian grassland. Number 7. Sun halos and moonbows. Forget barely visible rainbows that only exist in semicircles. Sun halos and moonbows present a more astonishing sight. Imagine the sun or the moon surrounded in a ring of its own light. Now that's glorious. Sadly, sun halos and moonbows are quite rare to encounter. Conditions have to be exactly right for them to occur. For sun halos, the temperature needs to be low enough and the sun bright enough. Sunlight reflects on ice crystals in the air, making it look like the sun also has a halo around it. Moonbows, on the other hand, work similarly. It requires the moon to be relatively low in the sky, and it must also be raining. If you're lucky, you'll see the moon's light reflecting on the water droplets, creating a rainbow-colored ring around the moon. Number 8. Frozen lake bubbles and permafrost explosions. These are actually 2 separate phenomena, but one practically follows the other wherever it goes. Frozen methane bubbles occur first, turning into permafrost explosions whenever it ignites and gets large enough. So how do frozen methane bubbles occur? They take place underneath a frozen lake, whenever microbes finish their feeding and emit methane gases as a byproduct. Because the gas has nowhere to go, it pools underneath the ice as a bubble. The methane bubble fizzes and dissipates into the atmosphere when the icy surface melts. However, these bubbles sometimes get large enough to form one giant bubble. Small ones can cause a pop whenever something ignites them, but the giant bubbles can cause such a large explosion that scientific scales can detect the blast. These phenomena are a recent discovery, having only been recorded since 2013. More of them are sure to be recorded as more previously frozen lakes defrost early, releasing decades of trapped methane into the atmosphere. One of our favorite places to see this phenomenon is in Abraham Lake, Alberta, Canada. Number 9. Rainbow eucalyptus trees. Natively growing in the Philippines and Indonesia, rainbow eucalyptus trees aren't naturally multicolored. The rainbow effect happens when a layer of bark peels off naturally. The newer, younger surface is green and full of chlorophyll. Then it gradually changes color as it ages and loses chlorophyll. To be precise, the color change goes from green to purple, to red, then brown. So what makes it a rainbow? The tree bark layers don't always peel at the same time, leaving behind different layers and colors of aging bark. Sadly, the rainbow effect doesn't carry over when the tree pulp becomes paper. It would have been really cool if it did, though. Number 10. Brightly colored lakes. Australia, Indonesia, Tanzania. For this phenomenon, we won't focus on just one lake. Instead, we'll focus on a few of them and what causes that color. The lakes we'll focus on for this entry are the bubblegum pink Lake Hillier in Australia, the bright cyan Kawah Ijen Lake in Indonesia, and the deep red Lake Natron in Tanzania. These lakes might have different colors, but they have one thing in common. Chemical reactions and microbes give them dramatic hues. For Lake Hillier, its bubblegum pink color is caused by microalgae, or at least that's what the current scientific theory suggests. There isn't any explanation yet for why this lake is so pink. Even taking some of its water into a container doesn't change its color at all. Meanwhile, Kawah Ijen Lake is bright blue because of its high sulfur content, since it sits near the top of Kawah Ijen volcano. The crater lake gets a steady supply of sulfur and other materials that contribute to its distinctive color. Scientists have actually determined that this lake is the world's largest and most acidic crater in the world. Lastly, Lake Natron in Tanzania is a deep red because the microorganisms turn the water red. The lake is inhospitable and is considered the world's most caustic body of water. But even though the waters have unbelievable alkalinity levels, some fish live here. Flamingos also flock here to hatch their eggs, since the area is safe from most predators. Those 10 natural phenomena are just the tip of the iceberg. Plenty more happen regularly, yet go unnoticed. To people who live in the places where these wonders occur, it's part of life. But for us, it's a special occasion. Have you witnessed any of these phenomena yourself? Or perhaps you've seen one that isn't listed here? Comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, you're definitely going to love this other video from our channel. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. See you soon, and until then, bon voyage.